Imagine this. You wake up on the first of the month, like you always do, expecting that Social Security deposit in your bank account. You check your phone, open your banking app, and your heart skips a beat. Nothing is there. Now, imagine this isn't just you. It's millions of Americans, retirees, disabled workers, widows, and survivors. Everyone is asking the same question. Did the government shutdown stop my check? This fear is real, and every time Congress drags its feet over the budget, the same wave of panic ripples across the country. Today, let's cut through the noise. I'm going to walk you through, step by step, what Social Security really means during a government shutdown, what parts are safe, what parts are vulnerable, and why even if your check arrives, you might still feel the effects in ways most people don't talk about. The basics of Social Security. To understand shutdowns, we need to clear one big misconception. Social Security is not a regular government program that can be turned on and off like a light switch. It is what we call mandatory spending. That means Congress does not vote each year on whether Social Security checks go out. They're required to. The money for Social Security comes primarily from payroll taxes, the taxes workers and employers pay throughout their careers. So when politicians fight over the budget, they are mostly fighting about discretionary spending, things like funding for national parks, federal workers' salaries, or government research programs. That's where shutdowns hit the hardest. Social Security, Medicare, and Medicaid fall under a different bucket. But here's the part many retirees don't realize. Even though the benefits themselves are protected, the services surrounding Social Security can take a hit. Mandatory versus discretionary. Why it matters. Think of it this way. If you order something online, you're guaranteed that the product exists and is paid for. That's like Social Security benefits. The money is already there because of payroll taxes. But if the delivery service shuts down, your package might not arrive on time, or customer service might not pick up the phone. That's like what happens during a shutdown. The benefits exist, but the government machinery that delivers and manages them slows down. During a shutdown, Social Security payments continue. Medicare and Medicaid keep running. Veterans' benefits keep going. But here's the catch. New Social Security claims might be delayed. Replacing a lost Social Security card could take longer. Customer service lines could be shut down or drastically reduced. And for someone who needs help urgently, maybe a retiree trying to get survivor benefits after a spouse passes away, those delays feel like a lifeline being cut. Let's look at historical examples. During the 2013 shutdown, Social Security checks still went out, but the staff who handled new applications were furloughed. That meant retirees who had just applied had to wait weeks longer. The same thing happened in the 2018 to 2019 shutdown, which was the longest in U.S. history, 35 days. Social Security checks went out, yes, but field offices had reduced hours, fewer staff, and people struggled to get appointments. Imagine being 67, retired, and suddenly losing your spouse. You rush to apply for survivor benefits, only to find out the office is closed or understaffed because of a shutdown. Your monthly check is safe, but your immediate financial need? Delayed. That's the human cost. Why fear still exists? So if checks keep coming, why are people so afraid? Because money is not just about transactions. It's about trust. When retirees hear government shutdown, they imagine the government as a whole simply stops working. The truth is, only part of it shuts down. But the fear is enough to cause stress, confusion, and even mistakes. Some people withdraw savings they didn't need to. Some delay medical care, worried about costs. And this is where the bigger question lies. Even though Social Security is technically safe, how safe does it feel? We've just covered the basics, but here's where things get interesting. Social Security may look untouchable on paper, but when you pull back the curtain, you'll see how shutdowns expose cracks in the system that could affect your future. And in the next section, we'll talk about what really happens behind the scenes and why those cracks matter more than most politicians admit. So, what really happens in a government shutdown? You might be thinking, okay, my Social Security check still comes. So what's the big deal? Here's the truth. While the money doesn't vanish, the system around you begins to bend, crack, and in some cases, nearly break. And when that happens, it's retirees, disabled workers, and families on fixed incomes who feel the pressure first. The ripple effect of a shutdown. When the government shuts down, hundreds of thousands of federal workers are either furloughed, meaning they can't work, or forced to work without immediate pay. This includes staff at the Social Security Administration, the very people responsible for processing claims, answering calls, and handling appeals. Here's what that means in real life. Customer service slows to a crawl. During the 2018 shutdown, wait times on SSA's phone line stretched to hours. Many people gave up before reaching a representative. New benefit applications pile up. If you just applied for retirement or disability benefits, you could be waiting weeks longer than usual. Replacing cards or fixing errors becomes a nightmare. Something as simple as correcting a birth date on a file might not be possible until the government reopens. For millions, Social Security isn't just a monthly deposit. It's a lifeline. And every delay feels like the system is abandoning them. Medicare, Medicaid, and health services. Shutdowns don't stop Medicare or Medicaid funding, but the support systems around them take a hit. Imagine being a retiree trying to enroll in Medicare for the first time. The application is tied to Social Security offices, which may be short-staffed or closed. That means delays in coverage, missed doctor visits, and confusion that could cost real money out of pocket. Hospitals and clinics often see slower reimbursements from federal programs during shutdowns. They may not stop care, but they feel the squeeze, and some pass those costs back to patients indirectly. Real stories from past shutdowns. Let's rewind to the 2018 to 2019 shutdown, the longest in history. Federal employees missed 2 paychecks. Food assistance programs almost ran out of money. At Social Security offices, workers described long lines and desperate people trying to get help. One retiree in Florida reported waiting 6 weeks for her survivor benefits after her husband passed away. Normally, it would have taken 2 weeks. 6 weeks may not sound long to some politicians, but when you've lost a spouse and rely on that money to cover rent or groceries, 6 weeks feels like an eternity. Another story came from Texas, where a disabled veteran couldn't get his replacement Social Security card processed for a new job. The job offer expired. A shutdown may not have stopped his check, but it cost him independence. The invisible cost: stress and confusion. Here's something that rarely makes headlines: the psychological cost. AARP has documented how older Americans experience heightened stress during shutdowns, even if benefits technically continue. Why? Because the language of politics is confusing. Politicians argue over funding, appropriations, and mandatory spending. To the average retiree, it sounds like your check might disappear. That fear can lead to rash financial decisions. Withdrawing from retirement accounts early, canceling travel or medical procedures, stockpiling cash unnecessarily. Shutdowns might not rob retirees directly, but they rob them of peace of mind, which is just as damaging in the long run. The community impact. It's not only retirees who feel the shutdown. Federal employees, contractors, small businesses around federal offices, they all lose income. And when they cut back on spending, local economies slow down. That trickles into communities where many retirees live. For example, restaurants near government hubs see fewer customers. Seniors who rely on affordable meals in these areas may find higher prices or reduced options. Local charities and food banks see more demand, while donations shrink. Retirees who volunteer or rely on those charities feel the pinch too. So even if your Social Security arrives, your neighborhood feels poorer, more stressed, and less stable. Why this keeps happening? The frustrating part is that shutdowns are not natural disasters. They are man-made. They happen because lawmakers cannot agree on a budget. Since the 1970s, there have been over 20 shutdowns or funding gaps. Each time, the same question returns. Will retirees be safe? The answer is yes, but with caveats. The checks come. The system limps forward, but the long-term trust in Social Security weakens each time. People begin to ask, if politicians can't even keep the government open, how can they protect my retirement 10 years from now? So far, we've looked at how shutdowns slow down services, create stress, and ripple through communities. But the truth is, the financial strain doesn't stop there. Because even if Social Security keeps flowing, inflation, housing costs, and medical bills don't stop rising. Social Security is safe. But services are not your monthly check is safe because it's funded separately through payroll taxes. Shutdowns don't switch it off. But what you depend on around that system, customer service, processing claims, survivor benefits, Medicare applications, can slow down or even stall. It's like your paycheck's still arriving, but your bank closing half its branches. The money's there, but access feels harder. The real cost. The biggest impact isn't missed checks. It's the uncertainty. Seniors worry about the future, families on fixed incomes cut back spending, and communities feel ripple effects. Stress becomes the hidden tax of a shutdown. The lesson for retirees. So what can we take away? 1. Your Social Security payments will continue, no matter the political chaos. 2. If you need new benefits, expect delays. 3. Don't let fear drive hasty financial decisions. Shutdowns are political battles, but retirees should not have to pay the emotional price. The best protection is understanding how the system really works. So the next time you hear government shutdown, don't panic about your check. But do stay informed, because what happens in Washington doesn't just make headlines. It shapes the quality of your retirement. If you found this breakdown helpful, make sure to hit that like button, subscribe for more insights about Social Security, retirement, and cost of living in America, and share this video with a friend or family member who's worried about their benefits.